working on the chains now, right? So I set the motor to TDC, top dead center, right? Lined up the marks on the crank pulley and the block over there. You also see that the lobe for, what is it, cam 4 and cam 5 pointing straight up and top dead center, right? So timing should be set up just right. I didn't have the trans to go off that timing mark, so I went off those two along with how the cams look. So my timing should be set good. Top dead center. Remove these or loosen them. They're 5mm Allen. The ones underneath I think are 6. I went from underneath. Those are out already. And then to take the tensioner out of the back, that is a 27, and that is the same size as your crank pulley. Alright, so in between these two timing covers, the top and the bottom, the actual head gasket goes through there. So you got to be careful when you take these apart. These are all loose. All my bolts are loose. So now, well, let me take it all the way out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a rubber mallet now. Oh, there goes the red bit. Use a rubber mallet to tap this apart from the actual head. Right? Be kind of gentle. Hopefully, I can be kind of gentle and be all right. Then maybe a little bit of force, but always as gentle as you can, so you don't end up messing up that part in the timing chain. Split in the covers. So that's all out. Okay. So as you can see, the RTV, the gasket maker, that's on there is pretty good. So rubber mallet doesn't seem like it's gonna work. I'm gonna have to do a little bit more force. Got the upper cover off, right? I had to disconnect this hose from here so I can get one of the bolts out. I disconnected the thermostat from here so I can get to this 10mm for the lower one and get it to back out. I did not want to take this off the head again. That thing's a pain in the butt to line up and get it to seal up again. But one thing, guys, to always make sure you get all the bolts out when you're trying to take something apart, right? This is a lack of knowledge because I haven't done this in a while. I should have verified and double checked, but I went to take this apart and I kept trying to get it to come off. I couldn't figure out why. Well, there is one bolt here that I didn't have out and one bolt there that I didn't have out. And I'm sitting there trying to yank it, pull it. I smacked the little tab down here. There you go. Trying to break it free. I'm like, man, what the hell type of RTV did I use? Well, I didn't take out two bolts. All right, so next day again, but I got all these bolts taken out of this lower chain cover. I want to say there's 19 total. You got 3 in the pan, and then 16 all around. You got 2 long ones up top, right? So, and all these are nice short ones. What I'm gonna do now is try to kind of pry from here. That's my goal. I'll see how it works, and then pop it off. Try not to damage the gasket, the head gasket up top there. So you saw where I was prying down below, up here. I came up here, pry a little bit against there. I'm just gonna work my way around. I double checked, triple checked, quadruple checked again, make sure all the bolts are out so that I don't damage this. Luckily, one of my buddies over in Dallas, or Dallas area, Fort Worth, had a upper cover. It's coming in the mail to me. Hopefully I get it by like Monday or Tuesday. I want to say I did something very outstanding today. I really screwed the pooch on this one, right? So the way you should have done it, lock the crank, pulled off the intermediate, right? Intermediate gears, and then you can pull out off the chain from the top and bottom. I was trying to find a shortcut. I took one of the cams out thinking I was going to be able to get the chain off that way. Nope. I still ended up having to take off the intermediate gear, which I did, and then got the chains off. Went to put in the new cam, well, not the new cam, but put the cam back in. Got the torque wrench out, 15 foot-pounds, and well, it went 15 foot-pounds, but then it went a little more. I don't know what the deal was, but I'll show you. That's a little stretched. I don't know, you know, when I put the 263s in like 4 years ago, that I didn't catch that before from a previous. This was on cylinder 3. This was also on cylinder 3, right? So, cylinder 3 stretched, ended up welding a nut on, and that looks like an outstanding weld because I have never welded before. But for like these, I used a double nut spot, the double nut technique, and was able to pull it up. This I couldn't, so found an old exhaust nut. Did a couple tack welds. It looks beautiful, doesn't it? Harbor Freight Special I bought like, I don't know, a couple months ago. It was on sale. I figured I'd buy it just to have it, just in case. It's a flux core, super simple. You know, watched a couple outstanding YouTube videos on it, and I'm glad I bought it. In there is a Lincoln, I think 175 that I've never used, oxy-acetylene 220. I bought and I've never used it. Had that bad boy about like, I don't know, 13 years. Yeah, I get old man out for a walk today. And I mean me. I'll hop an ass specifically for a walk. Grabbed me, nudged my knee, took me over to his collar, stopped, looked up at it and said, let's go for a walk. So it's kind of warm. Not too bad out here today in El Paso. It's 80 degrees, 90 degrees in the breeze. Getting his walking. Taking my fat butt with him. Right, so we just did a little mile and a half. Quick little mile and a half walk, man. Took him for a little jaunt. He's over there panting and sweating. I'm about to hydrate some myself. But today we're going to knock out on, start doing another part, right? A little shifter linkage. I'm going to get up underneath the car, drop the test pipe down, and drop out the shift linkage and the cables. Do a little modification over there. A little held up right now, waiting on the upper timing chain cover that I cracked because you saw I didn't take out 2 of the bolts. And then the cam caps are a little messed up. Well, the studs, I've got some coming in the mail as well from Schimmel Performance. So those should be showing up this week. Once I get all that together, I'll be able to finish the upper time. Item we're working on today, since I'm on a stalemate, waiting for some stuff to come in for the timing, we're going to take the center console out so I can drop this shift linkage and control there. We're going to have a couple screws over here, and then I believe there's a couple up underneath, one on each side over there. I don't remember when I put it together. And then this is held into the tower by a couple bolts. Underneath, whoops, we're gonna have to take out the test pipe and the heat shield and be able to drop it down from there along, you know, and then pull the shift cables from the engine bay area, drop that whole shift unit down. So to get this center console out, this one's real simple. It has these 2 in the back, right? Remove the ashtray, and it slides up out of the way. For this area, you would have probably one of the plastic 10 mil nuts there. Pull that up, pop this little thing up. You got 2 more 10 mil plastic nuts. And then on the side, you would have one over there and one bolt over on the other side. And then this whole thing should be able to pull right up. Right, once you finagle a little bit, get it off of those, this whole thing is gonna come up and out. Might have to pull the e-brake up higher, but you should be able to pull it up, out, forward and up. You know, just wiggle it around, you'll be able to get it up. what I did to make it a little bit easier, I don't know, it's probably a must, but 2 13 mils. Let's see if I can get this. There we go. 2 13 millimeter nuts, and you can move the e-brake out of the way, right? I'm going to put them back down just so that I know they're there, and then when I go to put it back together, pull it out again. And you can see these have little spacers. Come off, you know, hold on to those, and then when this tower drops down, you know, I'm going to pull these off or put the nuts back on. Make sure, as you can see, the bushings in here are rather worn out. I mean, it still drove fine. It just wasn't as smooth, right? It's been cut down by the previous owner, so make it a little bit shorter, not as tall. It didn't change anything in the throw, but yep. So I've got that one right there, that bolt right there. I want to say these are for internals, so I'm going to take this nut off here, and then I'm going to start working underneath. It's been a while since I've dropped this out, put one in, but I'll get back to you with exactly what I'm doing. All right, so under here we got, these are 13s. Should be a nut and the bolt head. 13s might be different if it's been changed out. Somebody else used different hardware. We had 13s for this bracket. You may or may not have that. And then my test pipe goes into a high flow resonator from, I think, 42 Draft Designs. That I had put in place when I did the VR swap. So now we're gonna knock these out. These are, I wanna say 15s. That's what I have on the ratchet right now. Yep, as a 15, take that clamp, slide this right off, and then we'll be able to get to this heat shield under here that has the shift housing right up there. Hopefully it's not too much of a pain. Right, so I took those little press clips, right? They just, when you put it back on, you just push it back on. It's gonna hold it in place, right? I bent the little tabs out and then just kind of spun it and pried it with a screwdriver. But as you can see under here, we got 2 more 13s to drop this box. I've taken the 1 bolt down, the 1 nut from the top, and now we got 2 bolts here. I'm gonna try to hit it with a ratchet. Hopefully I got enough room. I should take those 2 out, and this box should come down. Hopefully it doesn't fall on my face. All right, here we go, out of the vehicle. Works just fine. This was the better one that I had in the shed, but as you can see, the bushings are worn out. But I'm going to be swapping this whole unit out anyways. At least that's the plan. Hopefully the parts I have match up with work. All right, so here it is from underneath. It's locked in reverse. You can see that I've changed out that bolt. I'm going to show you. I'm going to pull this down. I'll show you. I changed out those 2 bolts, put in some longer ones. I'm going to put some spacers, so it's got a little bit more space here to clear the tunnel. I don't like how it's hanging up on that. I don't know if it makes a difference, but I'm going to give a little bit more space because I got some room to work with. So you got O2j shift mechanism, O2j, right? So I'm swapping over an O2j shifter, and I got a little diesel geek shifter, short shifter to add to the ends. So I took out the 2 M8 times 1-0.25, right? That is the size and the thread pitch. I wanted hex heads, but Ace didn't have them, so that's what I ended up with. These are 60 millimeter, and as you saw, I probably could have ran with 55 or 50. I seen in another video someone used a 70. So I bought a 60 and an 80 just in case. So these are threaded in. Like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and put a nut or something on here to create a little bit more space so that those cables don't get sucked up against that end. I didn't check to see how these lined up, rather than I was gonna put any bolts in the original mounting area. But with just these 2 on there, mounted up real tight, it was nice and snug. And I'm gonna put the base plate back on and a little circlip back on there. Right? So here's the outcome. Right, I found 4 of these nuts, same ones I used to weld onto that one stud for the cam. I put 4 on there. Right, I'm going to test fit that, see how that looks, how that fits. If it's good to go, then I'm going to leave it in there. All right, so it's in and mounted. I only got these 2 bolts in, like I've seen in a couple other videos. It looks like this might be where the console would fit back into. I thought about trying to make a bracket to clip over here and then bolt down into it just in case. But I mean, it's pretty solid. Those 2 spacers, those nuts I put on there, they didn't really do. I mean, it gave me some space, but it didn't do too much. And also, I put some other weather stripping on the box before I put it up. Because I remember on the Mark II when I did a VR swap, I had some gap and had some heat coming in there. The other part I had to do is, you see how this is straight cut, right, versus oval or rounded, narrowed in. I just went ahead and did a straight cut, trimmed up a little bit right here as well, and then cut over so that it's got room to maneuver and clear. Right, first feels like it, I don't know, it should be good. I rebuilt this shifter. I bought the kit, I don't know, Euro tuning somewhere, and then it's out of the junkyard as well, so it's been cut. But all right, so the box is in. Finally back at it, right? So it's been about a week or so since I was working on this bad boy. The last thing I showed you, I snapped the bolt for the cam cap, right? So that put a stalemate. I had the upper timing chain cover coming from a buddy in Killeen that showed up pretty soon, and then I was waiting on the bolts for the cam caps to come in. It was about 2 days shipping, but really, you know, coming from Pennsylvania and El Paso is pretty much a whole nother country out here. It took about a week, and then work started up, and coming after work, trying to work on this when I get home from work, and it's 100 degrees, 90 degrees, man, I'm just not motivated. So today, it is Thursday, it's after work. I came home early, was able to chill out, recoup, drink some water, and get motivated to get this done. And knocked out a few things. I didn't do it on camera. Once I started, I just wanted to get some things done and then double check it, but I'll walk you through what I have complete. So you see the cam is back in, the chain's on, the timing chains are set. I'm about to throw that lower chain cover on, throw the upper chain cover on, and put the tensioner in. So I did a boo-boo, I made a mistake. When I set the cam in, I set it at top dead center, right? And then I put it down and use the nuts to drive the cam load down into the lifter. That's a no sir, don't do that, right? So lay it in there where it lays in, there's no pressure on anything, put it in, torque it out from inward, outward, right? And then you're gonna do 15 foot-pounds on these, right? And then set the cam to proper timing, all right? And then you don't stretch these bad boys out and get in a predicament out. I had the lower timing chain set already. It's hard to see from this angle, you know, just a bunch of junk in the way. But I went ahead, when I did the upper, went ahead and put in this guide, and put in that guide, and then slid the chain in, right? So these 2 hex heads that are 13s, these are 15 foot-pounds for torque. And then the little bolt here that this tensioner, this guide rides on, is 18 foot-pounds. The intermediate one, intermediate shaft bolt, that is 74 foot-pounds. So I put a ratchet on the other side on the crank and locked that into place. Was able to get 74 foot-pounds on that. So like I said, putting on the lower timing chain cover. About to put some RTV on that. I'll show you what I want to use. Put in the top one, and then put in the tensioner on the top, and that might be where I call it a day for the day. That's a pretty good achievement. this afternoon, but by this weekend, plan is to have this thing put back together. Here is the RTV that I'm going to end up using for the timing chain cover. Ordered it when I ordered the kit. So, you know, other than I got a whole bunch of black RTV that worked just as well, but, you know, went ahead and ordered this with it. I'm going to do the lower, which I've painted with some fancy paint, which is going to probably get all screwed up when I go to put it on. Same thing with the upper chain cover. Upper chain cover, this is casting, that ain't paint, that's casting. However, you know, made it a little bit pretty. I did install a new rear main seal on this bad boy too when I took it apart. Right, so bottom's on, all torqued down, RTV'd up, our gasket sealed up. You know, got a little messy on some spots. The top and the bottom met each other, but I'd rather be a little bit messy and sealed than not enough, right? So that's done. The top chain cover is back on. I got the valve cover back on. New valve cover gasket. Got some new hardware. Good old Home Depot's your friend. All right, I'll probably get about a year out of them and they'll start to rust. Probably switch over to stainless sometime. Thermostat's back in, lower hose is back on. I'll probably put this hose back on, put the stuff back on the side of the block. Moved all that out of the way to do the timing chains. And then also the tensioner's on, sorry, right? 22 foot-pounds. But also you want to make sure it's bled. It's a newer version, so you don't have to stick the needle, the little pin down the middle. But I soaked it in a thing of oil, plunged it a few times to get the air out of it, made sure it was all bled so that it actually has pressure against the chain. If you put that in without bleeding it, when you turn the motor over, it could skip a tooth at that point, right? Because it doesn't have tension on it. But it's getting there slowly. Like I said, that valve cover's back on, clean that back up, and cleaning up the battery tray and the end of the transmission a little bit. Transmission's been painted. It'll last all of until I put it in the vehicle, and it's gonna be all screwed up. Trying to make some of this stuff look pretty, but by the time I get my hands on it, put it back in there, it'll be all smudged up. That's why last time I did black paint, you couldn't see prints for crap, right? So that's where I'm gonna end today. Ooh, sorry, son. That's where I'm gonna end today. But actually, one thing before I get out of here, I want to show you one thing about a torque wrench, right? This is all loose, right? I want to see it's nice and loose, right? And then as you turn it up, it's going to get even with these lines. All right, so say once the 0 hits, oh shoot, I'm trying to do this with one hand, man. Right, so that's 10. Once that's lined up better with that line, that's 10. So if I want to do 12, I just go over 2 more notches to that 2 to line up, and then tighten this down, right? That holds it in place so that it holds the spring and tension and all that to what you need. When you're done with it, be sure to loosen this up and bring this back down to 0 so there's no tension on it. That way you know your torque wrench is going to stay within the parameters it's supposed to. I'm going to wrap this part up, right? This is part 2 going into the next section. It's going to be part 3. I'm going to work on putting the pressure plate on, the clutch back in, and the trans in and buttoning all that up, right? So I'm going to break this down into 3 parts. I don't want to bore you each section. I know this ain't the most in-depth like how-to sections of how to do all this stuff. There's tons of other videos though that you can look at that I've also been using along with the Bentley manual to make sure I'm doing all this correctly. As you can see, I tried skipping some steps or a step and caused a headache for myself. So check out Bentley manual, check out all the videos, check out this one. But I'm going to end this one. If this has been helping you, if you like it, you like a couple of my shorts, like, subscribe, and share, okay? It helps me out. All right, y'all have a good day, all right? Take it easy.